an interesting topic, and one that is really going to help us explore the differences that each generation has when it comes to communications, behaviors, values, even the way that we dress. So I know that we're all very excited to hear from our panel. Before we do get to our panel, I do want to thank a few people. These workshops were created through a partnership between the Chamber of Commerce, the Pasadena Economic Development Corporation, and the City of Pasadena to create the Pasadena Loves Local brand and campaign that we've been doing since the pandemic hit in 2020. And we've been doing some really cool things, and these workshops are a part of them. Also, before we get started, we want to thank the people that helped make this event happen. So, we're sitting in Community Transformation Church right now. Sorry, it's hard for me not to call it CT Church, but it's Community Transformation Church. They've been a wonderful partner of ours for many years, and isn't their facility beautiful? Thank you so much for letting us use it. We also want to thank our friends at Chick-fil-A Pasadena who always keep us well fed. Thank you, Melinda and your team. And then, of course, we want to thank the EDC for their partnership in helping to help fund this campaign so we can do these type of workshops for you guys. We want to thank Alex Fox with Qualified Properties for investing as the presenting sponsor for today's event. Alex, if you're here, thank you so much. We also want to thank our Diamond level members. These are the members that invest at the highest level at the Chamber, and we like to give them a special shout out and recognition at each of our events. So you can see each of their logos on the screen. How about a big hand for our Diamond level members? If you are not a current member of the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce, you can visit with any of our staff or our ambassadors that you may have met in the back. Y'all give a wave, a holler, hey. They want you to come visit with them. They can tell you all about the Chamber and all of the great values and perks and benefits that you can receive with your membership. Our focus at the Pasadena Chamber is on you, each and every one of you in this room, whether you own a business, work for a business, or just live in our community. We are your voice, and we are definitely not afraid to use it. It's only March, but we've been hard at work this year. When tragedy struck in January by that very terrifying tornado that came barreling into our town, we didn't waste time at all. We worked closely with the city to get our businesses and residents the resources they needed to get back on their feet. We are proud to have served Pasadena for over 90 years, and we look forward to the very next 90 continuing to serve you. Part of being a member of the Chamber of Commerce is the ability to serve on committees. My friend Carrie Walsh is the chairman of our Workforce Development Committee. I'm going to show you her picture. She got very sick this morning, so she's not going to come talk to you about what that committee's doing, but this girl right here is a rock star, and I appreciate her so much. So I'm going to try to do what she was going to do and tell you. We started this Workforce Development Committee only this year. We met with our top-level investors last year, and they told us that the issues that they continue to face is workforce. They can't find the qualified people they need to come into their businesses and help them thrive. So with the help of Carrie and many of you in the room, we started this Workforce Development Committee, and one of our first goals was to develop a website that we have on our Pasadena Chamber page. I'm going to show you some screenshots of it. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I invite you to go to our website, pasadenachamber.org. Under Resources, you can click the Workforce Center. This page is designed for job seekers and employers. So job seekers can click the job openings, and it's going to expand like this, and each category of types of businesses are going to open, and then all of our members who have hiring pages or have current job openings, these links are going to take you directly to their sites for hiring. So it's cool. We just developed it. Here's some of the resources we have on there. And then for employers, you do have to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce to post your jobs. That's a perk of being a member, and we want you to be part of our crazy, fun, amazing family. So if you're not a member, please consider joining. Okay, one more thing before we get to the panel. We have a connections table in the back. Belinda, Christian, say hello. Belinda is an ambassador. Christian works for the chamber, and they just want to talk to you about the chamber and how it can help your business grow. They also back there have a basket donated by Chick-fil-A that you can drop your business card in. And at the conclusion of today's event, we will draw that winner. You do have to be present to win. Thank you so much, Belinda, for donating that. And lastly, back there, you may have seen a bike. We are raffling off 2 oh my goodness. This is Nick from Community Transformation Church. Who in this room would love to have 2 of these bikes? Come on, who in this room would love to have 2 of these bikes? Come on, Nick, sell it a little more. Those bad boys can go up to 30 miles an hour. And I hear there's an app you can actually finagle and get them to go up to 50 miles an hour. I haven't confirmed that. I can't deny it. That's what I've heard. But tickets are $50 each, and the winner is going to get 2 of those. There's a smaller one and a bigger one, so they're like male-female or male-male or female-female, whatever you want to do. But the winner is going to be drawn at our golf tournament on May 8th. You do not have to be present to win those bikes. And there are people in this room who really want those bikes. So y'all get back there and purchase your raffle ticket. Thank you, Nick. Everybody give Nick a hand. I don't even know where I'm at in the slideshow. Okay. All right, it's time. Who's ready to hear from our panel? It is my pleasure to invite the panelists to the stage. And when I call their generation, you have to cheer for the generation that you're here representing to see who has the biggest representation here. So if you don't know what generation you are, Google it real fast. Because we've got to bring the energy and get them ready to come up here. So I'm going to invite our moderator today. She is Olivia Rivers from the Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Olivia happens to be a millennial, and she also happens to be your 2023 Nonprofit of the Year. And she always has great shoes. Okay, for the rest. All right, are y'all ready with your generations? Let's see who has the most. Representing Generation Z is Anthony Herrera from Clark Freight Line. Is there that many Z's in here? There's some cheating going on. We're in a church, guys. Okay. Representing the Millennials is Josh Presley. Over the roaring of the crowd, Josh is from Savannah Cafe and Bakery. Has everybody tasted it? Okay. Where am I? Okay. Representing Generation X is Everett Smith from Kaneka, North America. Everett also happens to be your 2023 Industry of the Year with Kaneka. When we told you we put an amazing panel together, we were not telling fibs. Lastly, and certainly not least, representing the baby boomers, is Melinda Torrison from Meador Staffing Services, who also happens to be your 2022 Pasadena Citizen of the Year. don't know who won. Y'all are all so amazing. So I am going to turn it over to Olivia Rivers.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? All right, we are going to get started. We have some amazing questions for our panel. So first, we're going to start off with the icebreaker. I know Aaron introduced you guys, but if you want to say your name again, and then share what is one misconception about your generation that you wish people would stop saying or forget. One misconception.
Hello, everyone. It's such an honor to be up here with everyone here. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit here and listen to us speak. Like I said, my name is Anthony. I work for a local trucking company, Clark Freight Lines. I've been there for 2 years. And a misconception that I hear every now and then is that my generation really isn't good with face-to-face interactions. I love face-to-face interactions. I love it. I love it. It is a struggle sometimes, but I got to keep myself in check for it. So.
My name's Josh Presley. Is that hot? Ooh, that seems hot. It's real hot. So they say that technology is the millennials' breadbasket, and I'll tell you from personal experience, technology is not my breadbasket. I'm terrible at it. So that's kind of a misconception. There also is, as we get further into the computer age, that we're just so in depth and ingrained in it, and that's just not the case. I grew up at the start of the millennial generation, so I didn't actually get a computer in my house until I was in high school.
All right, good morning,
Was there
everyone.
like a Gen Z was like, dang. Like, okay. Really? Okay, hold on. There will be no shaming of any of the generations. Don't do that.
That's awesome. Well, good morning again, everyone. My name is Everett Smith. It's been, again, always great to come to you all today, and thank you for coming. I think the biggest misconception is that we're not adaptable. And so what's funny about that is our whole generation for us has been adapting from VHS and beta tapes to Netflix and chill, right? So, for my first job, a pager was issued as my communication tool. And now we have, of course, a computer on our hip. So we're adaptable. That's what we've done our whole generation. So that's.
Good answer, Everett. And I would say the baby boomers are probably the most adaptable on planet Earth because we started working when there were no cell phones, no technology, no computer. Just saying, Everett. But I have great respect for you. But yeah, I'm Melinda Torrison, and like Everett said, we're so happy to have each one of you here. We know that your time is valuable, and so we consider it really a gift and an honor to be able to be here this morning with you. So, but I would say probably the biggest misconception about the baby boomer generation is that I think we are kind of labeled as we're selfish, we're greedy, we're workaholics, we're very stubborn, and our way is the highway.
Well, all right.
That's not who we are.
Well, all right. Thank you for that. Yes. So really one of the focus of this panel, one of the goals is to erase some of those misconceptions, because the truth of the matter is that every generation is needed in the workplace. So if you have the luxury of having all 5 generations in your workplace, definitely take advantage of that. So today's questions, we're going to center a little bit on communication, values, life balance, all of that. So there's a recent study that shows that 86% of employees believe that failures, mistakes happen because of miscommunication in the workplace. So a question for all of you, what is your preferred method of communication with your coworkers?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One of the questions that really stuck out to me when I was going through them. Me in particular, it sort of is circumstantial for me. There are some instances where I prefer face-to-face interaction, like I said, but there are also instances where I feel like I could be very detailed in an email. There are also other instances where I feel like I could be very detailed in an email, and I feel like I need to go over to the other department and say, hey, this is what I mean by it. So it all depends on the situation for me.
Awesome. Josh?
I find that face-to-face interaction is the best. I have a hard time getting across emotions and feelings in emails or in text messages. I'm one of those guys that has that weird, when you put that emoji, like that smiling emoji, or you're like, I don't know if this is quite appropriate in a business context, but to get your emotion across and actually not be so correct, I feel like face-to-face definitely has the advantage.
Absolutely. You have to be careful of that winky emoji in the workplace, right? It can mean a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree. My preferred method is face-to-face, and so I guess my example is when my daughter comes to talk to me, and she reads a text that has come from her friend, there's all this stuff going on in the text, and I said, did the text actually present it like that? You might want to call and see, or go see, and really understand what it says. So for me, it's face-to-face, because text messages and emails can have all kinds of connotations depending on how you're feeling that day. So face-to-face is when you can see that head tilt and go, okay, I got you.
I agree. My preferred method, of course, is face-to-face. Just like they had said, there's so many things that can go wrong when you read into an email. You can read into somebody's tone of voice when they're not even speaking that way. But I do know in the workplace today, you really have had to adapt to all forms of communication, especially being in the staffing industry. We have so many employees who are working all over, the geographic area with so many clients. And so we really have had to adapt via text and email and phone and face-to-face. But I've always said this, and I'll say this until the day that I retire and leave Meador Staffing, is you can't build relationships or great interaction with other people unless it's face-to-face. You cannot do that via text. That's why it's really hard for me too, Everett, to understand my daughter and that generation. How do you break up with somebody via text message? I just don't understand that. So, but face-to-face at the end of the day is definitely preferred method of communication.
Thank you. And I don't even think some people are even breaking up anymore. They just ghost. It's just ghosting. It's like, I don't even break up with you. I stopped texting you. No, great. So we all know, and Melinda, for sure in the staffing industry, that the first 90 days is very critical for a new hire. So if you are starting a job, what does a good onboarding look like for you? What does that look like? What would you like to see the different types of methods and styles to help you prepare for your job?
Yeah, for me personally, it's a lot of hands-on experience. It's a lot of giving me room to ask questions, and also controlled failure. So what I mean by that is allow me room to do things on my own to where I would fail and it presents a teaching opportunity. I've learned so much in my company now because I had a great trainer. His name is Chris. He allowed me to fail multiple times that didn't cost the company any money, but allowed me to better understand the processes of the transportation industry. So.
I'm going to answer this from a little different standpoint, if that's okay. I'm actually in the process of trying to develop a training program for a Generation Y, for a younger generation. Working in the restaurant business, the majority of the folks that we hire are going to be in the younger categories. It's a kind of a starting off job. And developing the training program, we're finding that giving very specific expectations, but giving opportunities to, okay, we missed here, but tomorrow we're going to come back and identifying failures to begin with, and being able to address those at the start and not holding them under our thumb because they made a mistake to begin with, and giving them opportunities to grow and to mature because they need that time. It's not where when I started, if you made a mistake, it was terrible. This time you had to have a little bit of room and a little bit of grace to allow people to make mistakes and move forward.
Yeah, so to add to that, absolutely that opportunity to make mistakes in the beginning is very important. For me also, it's about exposing them to the people that are really making decisions for the company and seeing them have the values of the company or values that align with them. So if they're coming on board and the people they meet are not energetic, they're not excited about the work or the job or the company, and they've been there 10, 20 years, it's almost like a letdown for them. And so our onboarding process, of course, we hired you for a skill, some knowledge you're bringing, some expertise you're bringing, and we want you to stay. So we want to make sure you're introduced to the people that we're happy you're here, right? We want to show you how proud we are that you joined us and brought your expertise to us. And then we want to keep hitting you with mentors and touch base with you, check in with you, make sure if you're having any issues, we address those. What are you getting you don't want, and what do you want that you're not getting, are some key questions we ask them, and then we kind of keep following up to make sure we're getting them along their way in their journey.
So good. I know for the baby boomer generation, you know, onboarding wasn't even a word in our vocabulary. Training was, here's the phone book, here's a telephone, start making calls. So there was no such thing as training or onboarding. So we really have had to shift our thinking, and as, you know, they said so eloquently, I believe wholeheartedly what you had said, Everett. I know on day 2 with Meador Staffing, and I know we've just recently hired several new employees. I actually sit down and visit with them because I agree. If they don't understand where you're going and where you're heading and the vision and the culture and the mission of the organization, and they're not hearing it from leadership, then I think you're setting the bar low, or you're setting a different tone for their success. And I've always said too, I think the first thing I typically tell a new employee is there's really no mistake that you can make that will put Meador Staffing out of business. Hopefully they won't make like a really big mistake that costs us hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I think it's letting them know that you're excited that they're there. I know what I hear about the younger generation is the first question that a lot of them ask me is, so what's the career path? What's the growth? Okay, as a baby boomer, I'm kind of like, well, it took me like 30 years to become president for Meador. I mean, like, who asked that? But I think, you know, for our generation, you have to be prepared for those questions. But I think onboarding it definitely, the first 30 days set the tone for the success of the individual, whether or not they're going to stay with your company, and how they feel about the organization. So I am very much a positive person. I would never want a new employee at Meador Staffing to be with a negative employee who's been there for a long time and just, yeah, or that communicates, well, this is how it was, and this is how it should be. So, you know, baby boomers, I speak to myself a lot. We've really had to evolve with the whole onboarding and training and understanding of the younger generation, because you guys, they're going to be taking our place sooner than later. So,
great answers. Isn't this a brilliant panel? So we're going to do a little quick popcorn question, make it a little fun. We're going to start with Melinda, though, the rose amongst the thorns. Say it's a Thursday. You're heading into the office. What are you wearing?
Typically this. Everybody knows me. I'm pretty much a dress kind of person, but I will admit I do love Fridays because I do love my red pair of Converse tennis shoes. But yeah, this is typically how I dress. And my philosophy with dress is dress for the day. If you're going to be in front of a customer, you know, depending on the customer's environment, or you're going to be, you know, somewhere like this, doing a presentation or out in the community, dress for the day. Because I learned from my dad, it gives people perspective of who you are.
Yeah, great answer. So yes, I'm going to be in slacks and a dress shirt, but I'm checking my calendar, make sure I don't have to be somewhere a little bit more dressed up. I toned down the socks today, but typically I'm going to have some loud socks of some sort with whatever I'm wearing during the week.
Well, I'm obviously the most casual one up here. I forgot my jacket. Actually, I don't own a jacket. The industry I'm in is very, I work a lot. I work hard. I move around a lot. So to be dressed as nice as Everett, I would come home and ruin my clothes regularly. So I spend a lot of times in slacks and short sleeve shirts and tennis shoes, which is fantastic. I love my industry.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, when it comes to my clothing, I'm very indecisive. So one Thursday, you may see me in something like this. Another Thursday, I'm wearing jeans and a polo. Another Thursday, I got a T-shirt. But I'm a firm believer in that whenever I dress my best, I feel my best, I perform my best at work, I make minimal mistakes when I dress my best. So for me, my attire really isn't just for outer appearance, it's more so for performance in the work environment. So.
Awesome. You're such an old soul.
Olivia, he's younger than my son. I need him to talk to my son.
I mean, doesn't our Gen Zer look amazing? He looks great. right. So that's, again, one of those misconceptions in the workplace that millennials and Gen Z, we don't know how to dress up. We're lazy. We're not.
Come on, man, look at me.
And it is also industry-based. If you're in construction, you're not going to go out on a work site dressed up. So I love what Melinda said, dress for the day that you have. Awesome. All right, let's get back to communication. So I'm curious, how do you use social media? And also share with the audience, what is your favorite social media platform? Or do you use social media? I should not assume.
So, especially when I was in high school, that was real hot. Especially when I was in high school, which was, what, like 3 days ago?
Oh, stop. Oh, my God.
I mean, I would, there we go. I would be on social media every single minute of the day, and I just couldn't get anything done. So it came to a point, especially after I graduated, where I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more intentional. I grew up with a phone. I think my first phone I had, I was like 5 years old. So that definitely didn't help. But yeah, so I've toned it down a little bit. I try to make I try to make a better use of my time. But when I am on, I'm mostly on TikTok. It's fun just to scroll aimlessly for hours and hours and hours. And I actually really like Facebook. I prefer Facebook over Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. I enjoy Facebook. So.
Awesome. And do you use social media for business or mostly for personal use?
It's a mixture of both. So I've been trying to incorporate more of a business theme for my page, but I allow room for personal posts. Hey, I went to the boat this day, or this and that. So.
Awesome. Thanks. Josh?
I have a Facebook page. It took me 7 or 8 years past when Facebook started to get a Facebook page. And the reason I have a Facebook page is because Savannah Cafe has a Facebook page. I use it I have a 5-minute timer on my Facebook because I don't want to, I feel like you use that social media, you're living in somebody else's life. So I don't use it very much.
I love that you're like, I have a Facebook page. Like, it exists.
No Instagram, no Twitter, none of that stuff.
Yeah, so
You
I have
are
a Facebook
millennial.
page. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say he is a different millennial because I have Instagram and Twitter. And
Well, my wife has it, and everybody else has them.
So I have a Facebook page primarily to keep in touch with family. That's about it. So they can see the events with the kids. I have, through work, have to monitor LinkedIn and all those various social media accounts, but it's not something that I'm eager to go pursue. TikTok is available because they have the best chefs on TikTok, and I like trying new recipes, so it's a great 30-second to a minute tutorial on a new recipe, so I'm there looking for recipes, and that's about it.
Okay, well, yeah, with my kids, I never understood the whole Snapchat, and then we went into the world of TikTok, and I'm really not a social media person as far as personal. I do keep up with the crazy Torrison family who are all up north, via Facebook to see, what they're doing, and like Everett said, family, but really my whole purpose and mission related to social media, it's all about Meador Staffing Services and promoting our company. And of course, we're in this labor shortage, so it's anything to promote our brand and really to celebrate and honor our team members at Meador Staffing as well. That's what I believe social media is for. So I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. I'm going to add you tonight. Accept my request. How many of you in the audience have Facebook? Okay. What about Instagram? Okay. TikTok? It's getting thinner and thinner. LinkedIn? Probably more in LinkedIn. Yes, more professional. Awesome. Snapchat? Okay. All right. I see some Gen X with some Snapchat. Get on Snapchat. So, millennials, do any of you guys remember when we first joined Facebook, you actually had to be friends with Mark Zuckerberg? Does anyone remember that? Like, you couldn't be on Facebook unless you were friends? I thought that was like the coolest thing, and now he doesn't remember me, but it's fine.
What about Tom?
Oh, that's the older generation. Okay, older millennials. MySpace. Tom, you guys remember Tom? Okay, all right. Yeah, that is a thing. I wonder what happened to Tom. Hope he's doing well. Okay. All right, so what are some key characteristics that you feel your generation brings to the workplace?
Yes, this was another really good question. I feel like my generation is a very passionate generation, just innately. I mean, we see it all over the news. We have more and more younger people going out marching, fighting for what they believe is right and wrong. So I think if we could hone in that passion and work in environments and places where we are passionate about and we want to see true change in, I think there would be an array of problems solved. We would see just mass production because we have people working in likable jobs. So I think my generation is a very passionate one.
So assertive.
Nick, you keep turning it up, don't you? I think something that the millennials have brought to the workforce is they found a balance between work and family. I think for a long time, I think you mentioned it, that, you know, the baby boomers were workaholics. I think that, you know, as millennials are starting to find a balance between family and work, then a separation, although, you know, you go home, you're still connected to work. There is somewhat of a disconnection to where family is just as important as work, as we realize that, you know, as we bring up a generation below us, that the time that we spend with them is just as important as the time we spend at work.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to go back to adaptability. You know, for us, that's what my whole career has been, adapting to changes in the workforce, terms of culture and leadership, and seeing the change in dynamic across the organization as I've been there in other companies. So we've had to adapt and adjust and accept and still be that steady person, that steady generation in the workforce that says it's going to be okay, we're going to push through. And so for me personally, I like to be that person that says if nothing else happens in your day, you're going to get a hello, a handshake, a good morning, because that may not be your life away from work. And so we've experienced the ups and downs at this age that says, hey, every day is not going to be a good day. It's not going to be a good day personally. It's not going to be a good day at work some days. And yet we're going to be okay, and we have to assure people that way. So for me, it's that steadiness and adaptability.
I love that, Everett. What research has shown in generational diversity is that the Gen Xers actually are the generation that is adaptable because they were the latchkey kids, right? So they were that first generation that they were coming home, they had to like make dinner for themselves, figure things out. So adaptability is really spot on when we talk about and see some of the strengths of the generations in the workplace. So you nailed it.
Oh, that's so good. That's why I like you so much, Everett. So as far as the baby boomers, what I think we bring to the table, of course, is, and there was a lot of us. There was 76 million baby boomers. So you were competing to get where you were. So unfortunately, you know, the workaholism and things of that nature, it was just this competitive spirit and drive because it wasn't like it was today. It was, you were competing against so many other people. But I think what we bring is kind of along the lines of what Everett said with adaptability, is I think we bring resilience. And I think it's just a matter of our age. I mean, I'm 61 now, and I've been in the workplace a long time. And as Everett said with adaptability, you're gonna go through stuff. And so I think that's what we bring to the younger generation, is there is gonna be a time, and that's what we've seen in the workplace, is a huge shift with so many baby boomers who have been retiring since COVID. And you're losing mentorship, you're losing stories, you're losing history. That's what our generation brings. And if you really partner with the right baby boomer, those individuals want you to be more successful than they ever were in the workplace. And that's really, I believe, what our generation's responsibility is today, is to bring up the next generation and to impart all of the knowledge and the wisdom that we've had, which also includes all of the mistakes and the life lessons and experiences that we've learned, like, you probably don't want to do this. But I think that's what our generation brings: resilience, leadership, and just mentoring.
That is absolutely true. If you do have the opportunity to meet or experience and hear stories from those that are wiser than you, I definitely encourage that. I know my dad always told me, every chance you get, sit at the feet of your elders. And it doesn't have to be lineage, but just sit at the feet of those that came before you so you can hear those stories and be directed. Because they say if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So I love that answer. Thank you. So let's talk about conflict in the workplace. Dun, dun, dun. How do you handle it? So for example, if you have a disgruntled employee, or you have two employees that are not getting along, or you have to give redirection to an employee that has made some mistakes. How do you handle that?
So I'm actually reading a book by Dale Carnegie right now called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in that book, he goes on a tangent of listing, and as I'm reading through, I'm finding out, man, I'm doing a lot of what he's teaching here. So when it comes to conflict in the work environment, I think the biggest thing is, what I find is that conflict is often caused by a mistake, okay? So when a mistake is made, someone's at fault. So when it comes down to it, I'm a CSR. I believe that our orders start and end with me. So I immediately take fault. Okay, hey, so I go to my dispatcher. What happened? Let me know what happened. Okay, hey, I'm sorry about this. I may have made a mistake. Diffuse the situation. Because what I found out is when you start bashing yourself, the other person sort of has an empathetic tone towards you. And instead of coming at you hostilely, if you're pointing the finger, they come out with you, hey, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, this and that. Also, I believe it's real circumstantial. The level of relationship that you have with people also enables you to better be able to have a conversation with them, better to get over that hump a lot better. So I'm a firm believer in making long and lasting good relationships in the work environment. I think that is so important. I greet everyone in the morning with a hello. I'm making sure I'm chatting, I'm joking around, but when it's time to get down to business and they know I'm serious, they get serious because I have that relationship and I have that right. So.
I want to see serious Anthony. That's awesome. Thanks. Josh?
I'm going to tag on to that. Relationship starts, dealing with conflict starts the moment we open up the door of our business, right? Because the relationships we have with the people are actually the ones that we're going to be dealing with the conflict. So the better your relationship is to begin with said employer, employees, the easier I feel like the conflict is to deal with it. If you really know someone's heart, you know a mistake is not made purposefully, right? So we can't deal with it as they made it on purpose. It's a mistake. We're all human. We all make them. The goal is to put as many systems in place to avoid that employee from having to make a mistake. So a lot of times if it's a mistake that is made by an employee, that's something that as an employer we should have caught, what fault do we have to go at that employee in a really cross way? We want to look at how we can improve, how to avoid mistakes in the future, how to keep from those mistakes happening, because it doesn't just hurt the employer, it hurts the employee. Employee loses confidence, it does not do anything good for your business. You know, we want to be building up employees and empowering them to make mistakes, because mistakes are not always a terrible thing. They're the way that we move forward. That's the way our business actually gets to improve.
I love that. I think there's a concept that we've learned in Impact. Where's all my Impact people? Yeah, all right. So one thing that I think John Maxwell might have been credited for is failing forward. So I love how you're saying that a mistake is not something that is, detriment. It could be, but hopefully it's not detrimental, but we fail forward. That helps us learn. Thank you, Josh.
Well, just like you said, the Meador doesn't fail at the first mistake. It's a multiple mistake, so we're trying to stop them and avoid, building on top of those.
Everett?
So yes, definitely relationships are very important. Try to get people to attack the problem and not the person. And of course, never do it by email, whatever the conflict is. So where I said I'm monitoring communication and monitoring some emails, and you can see it's coming, and you can see the tone of the email change. And if you walk by somebody's office and they're banging the keyboard and you hear it, you can see it. And so often what we have to do is get people in the room together, because when they're behind a screen or a text message, they talk different than you do when you go to someone's office. You have to talk to them face to face. And so when we get people together, when we really have that conflict and put them in the room and start talking about the problem, you often find out the problem you're talking about right then wasn't the initial problem. It wasn't the initial conflict, and we really start uncovering the root cause of some issues, and not only solve it at that moment, but solve it long term when we really sit down and listen to what's happening. So that face-to-face, that relational piece is so important, because often when you get that crazy, crazy text message and you've already had the relationship with the person, you're like, okay, that's not them. When you've had that relationship, that's not them. So let me go figure out what really is going on. Forgive them. Somebody's got to go first, and then go fix it, and we move on. So that's the key for us.
I like the reference to the keyboard warriors. We've all heard that person, right? Clacking really hard. You're like, you're going to break that keyboard. Melinda, what about you?
So good. Or lots of sighing. Like, yeah, I sit in an office, so I sit with a lot of people at Meador, and it's just like, oh, yeah. And I just kind of sit and wait, like, okay, somebody's going to be coming soon. But what they just said was invaluable wisdom on how to handle conflict. What I would probably add to that is, especially as a baby boomer, we're not always right. We're not always right.
You got it.
You're not always right. That's what she said.
We're not always right. But most of the time we are right. Most of the time we do know the answer. But I would probably speak to, just agree with everything they said, is you in the workplace, especially with employees, you do have to build trust, because when people feel safe with you, and they know that you have your best interest at heart and you're for them, you're not against them, that's when just great things can come up. Not just great collaboration, but conflict, things that we disagree with. I always say to the team that I get to work with is, we can come here, we can disagree, but when we leave this place and we go out in front of our customers and our employees, we need to be in unity and agreement. So that's why resolving conflict is so critically important. And I think, Everett, you had said it. Sometimes you get in a room and you're like, okay, that wasn't even the issue. You don't want to be in the room and realize that you have to uncover brick after brick after brick to get to the root of what's going on. You want to resolve conflict quickly. And I'll speak to myself, my own personal experience in dealing with conflict, and what I've really learned in the workplace is, as the leader of the organization, if I am in the wrong and I have maybe been part of conflict, I need to be the first one to repent and to ask for forgiveness, and to make a clear path within the organization. So as leaders, for those of y'all who are in a leadership role, you really need to take this seriously, because you could be the very one that conflict is kind of stemming from. So I don't know why God has done that to me, but it's been a lot of humility of just really having to, if I know I'm in the wrong, being willing to ask for forgiveness and to move on. But yeah, conflict is, you have to address it. And I agree with what Everett said too. If it's employees or a team of people, that's when we just got to get in a room and we got to talk this out. And being willing to listen, making sure that every individual knows that they have a voice.
I also want to add to that. Great talk there. We're at a point where there's fewer people doing more work, and so conflict is around us every day. And so I think about a book from Simon Sinek. This is called Start With Why. That book is so powerful because often you can stand down conflict when you start with why you're making a request or why you're starting a conversation. It also works at home. For those that have relationships at home, it also works there. And so the example I'll give you is that, often at the end of the day, I'm sitting on my couch and maybe I'm watching TV and maybe the wife's running errands, and she walks in the door as she parks and she says, "What are you doing?" Now I got to start a list. What did I forget? Was I supposed to do something? I got to start that process in my head. Now, my wife gets hangry sometimes. She doesn't eat in certain. So now imagine, she pulls in the garage fast, she walks in the door, she says, "Baby, I'm hungry. What are you doing?" Now look here, I can either go find some food, take her to go eat some food, we go out, but I'm already positioned to make a decision with less conflict. That's every situation, every conversation you have at work as well with your coworkers. Start with why, and I'm telling you, some of your conflict will go away.
That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Great answers. I think overall we can just kind of wrap that little answer up and it's about thinking about the best, right? Thinking about the best of your colleagues before you just jump to the negative conclusion, right? Even if they come at you a little, be like, okay, what's going on? So great answers, you guys. All right, another little popcorn question, because that was kind of heavy. So is creating a fun atmosphere at work something that makes you thrive, or do you prefer to get in, get the job done, and go home? Gen Z?
Yes, that is a very good question. Again, for me, it's circumstantial. It all depends at what's at stake for the day, what the task is at hand. But also, I believe it's very valuable to have some sense of fun in the work environment, some sense of stress relief. Super important, especially in my industry when things are go, 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 go. Mistakes could be made, and that could ruin a whole load for a driver. That could ruin a whole driver's day. So there has to be constantly a level of seriousness that is upheld, but I believe there is a proper balance, and there's a way that we can maintain that while also having fun, keeping the energy alive, keeping the morale up. So I agree. I think it's the best of both worlds. You have to find that balance.
I think work should be fun. I think if you're not going to work and having a good time, you're working really hard. We want to have an opportunity for people to come to work and actually walk out and be happy as they were when they came in. Mondays are always terrible days, but if you get to go somewhere where you actually enjoy going, they're not quite as bad. The one thing I'd say is, as a business, I want to look like the duck, right, on the pond. Is I want to be working real hard underneath, but I want to be smooth and happy and have a crew that is looks like they're enjoying what they're doing and not working themselves to the bone.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have to have fun at work. I think that's so important to have an outlet where you're spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day. It can't be serious all the time. And if you're in a leadership role, we're required to do something that uplifts people. And I go back to that saying, we don't know what happens behind closed doors for many of our employees. So maybe a good morning, a handshake, a hug, maybe the Christmas function, or I'm an eater, so if somebody, we'll bake cookies, because chocolate chip cookies will get me to a department real quick. So I'm saying whatever that is, you have to create an environment where people enjoy being there, because that may be their only outlet and will increase their productivity and their enjoying connection to your company.
So good. I am all about fun, even though I can switch gears. Like this morning, my team knows, okay, Melinda was emailing at like 6:30 this morning. We need to get together to talk about the numbers and jobs filled and all. So, but I believe that you have to have fun as well. And so I give a shout out to Lucy, who's with Meador Staffing, actually leads our Meador Staffing engagement team. And it has been just such a delight to have just employees throughout the Meador Staffing organization just bring a whole lot of fun to the workplace and the way that they celebrate each other, because I wholeheartedly agree. The staffing industry, it is hard when everything shifted, and it is really hard to fill jobs, and you're getting it from the outside where, I mean, y'all know, how many calls did y'all get this morning of people not showing up for work, at our clients? It's very stressful. And so you have to bring to your team just ways of not just celebrating themselves, but having fun. The best thing that I love that we continued from Meador Staffing after COVID was our town hall meetings. And we still do them virtually, and then we finally got to do, in person. But those will continue, because I think it's just so critical to bring the whole organization together, to celebrate one another, and to just laugh and have fun. Because, like I said, it is stressful. And just, personally, there's so many things going on with individuals today, it seems like more so than ever before. And if, we can be a place that builds people up and lifts them up, then hopefully they'll want to stay at Meador Staffing and continue on with this.
Yeah, those are all great points. Just to add, I also think it's very important to realize that we spend the majority of our livelihood with the people that we work with. I spend 8 or 9 hours a day with my coworkers. I don't spend that much time with my parents. I don't spend that much time with my friends. So the majority of my livelihood, 5, 6 days a week, whatever it is for you, we are spending a lot of time with these people. So that's why I press and I push for relationship. It is so important to develop and establish these relationships early on, because that is what inherently makes the work environment a better place. When you have good relationships with the people you work with, because you're spending the majority of your day with them, there is this one coworker that I don't get along with. You're avoiding. You're gonna spend 8 or 9 hours of your day avoiding a department because you don't get along with one person. We have to push relationship with everyone.
Absolutely. I know when I first started my career, I worked at the DA's office back in Missouri, and one of the attorneys was like, I'm not here to make friends. And I was like, I want to be your friend anyway. But Anthony is right. If you spend on average 40 hours a week with people, you want to get along with them. So it's really important to, and then one thing that we do at the Bridge is we have a morale committee, and their sole job is to create fun opportunities throughout the year. I know for St. Patrick's Day, they had like some ice cream or sherbet, and they were playing Irish music in the break room, and things like that. I think one time they turned on music on the intercom system, and they were like, dance party in the middle of the day, so everyone had to get up from their desk. And I was like in the middle of something, I was like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. But, they were coming around, like everyone sees everyone having fun and dancing. So make moments, even if they're small, to have fun in the workplace. So thank you guys so much. All right, so we all need a paycheck, which is one of the main reasons why we work. But other than money, what motivates you to continue to stay at a job? What are the values that you see within a company that make you say, you know what, I can see myself here?
Two things in particular that stick out to me. The biggest is feeling that what I do has a sense of importance to it. I don't want to be doing something that is just going to be blown in the wind. For me in particular, I feel like transportation plays a huge part in everyone's lives here. I feel like you're not getting the clothes on your back, the shoes on your feet, the food on the table if it's not for transportation. So there's a great level and sense of importance, and that's why I take great pride in my work. And also, I just want to give my boss his flowers. He makes the work environment one that's pleasurable. I've had many years of work experience, I know, but I will say
3 days.
About 3 days, yeah. I will say that the company that I work for has provided me a place where I don't feel like I'm just an employee. I feel like I'm a friend. I feel like I'm a family member. And that in and of itself makes me want to be a better employee for my boss, makes me want to be a better coworker for my coworkers. So those are the two things that stick out to me in particular.
Number one, I think flexibility, being able to be flexible in a job, whether it be the day-to-day job, being able to change for me. The industry moves, and every day is a little different. The other thing I think is that the values of the actual corporation align with my values. It'd be very hard to be in a company that is not aligned with the same values that I have and want to move in the same direction. Also, there has to be a future to it. Like you said, have that plan to move forward. I think that's super important. As I'm hiring younger people, I'm finding what's the future in this job, or is this just kind of a dead-end job that stops, once I'm done being a cashier?
Yeah, so I'm going to have, a twofold answer. For Kaneka specifically, it's been an environment where the values match and they align, and they've given an opportunity. And those opportunities over my career have kept me motivated with this particular company. I've been with a few different companies where you were a number. And for me, that didn't work, although there were those that worked great. Put your time in and you go home at the end of the day. The second part for me, though, is there's an internal drive to be that employee and stay connected and bring my best. I'm an only child. My mother and father were, they brought themselves up. And so that's all I saw was the hard work. And for my generation, Dad was like, my name's on that thing. When you leave the house or when you go out with your friends, my name, you're representing me. So when I think about all that they've gone through to get me where I am, I don't want to let them down. There's an internal drive that says, you know what, I don't know when, I don't live with mom and dad anymore, right? But I don't want them to even get a bad story about me that would take away from their legacy and what all the hard work that they have done. And in our current climate, to be direct, there are those that don't have relationships and friends that look like me. So if your only exposure is what you see on the news, you may have a negative connotation of what I may bring to the party. And so I'm very conscious of that. And so I want to make sure also that every interaction, it doesn't matter who you look like or what you are, as long as we're respectful to one another, we can work together, we can have a great conversation, we can shake hands, hug, and go on. So that's at work or wherever else I meet people.
Wow. That's so good. I'm on that now. Man. I swear. He's my brother. Did y'all know that? We're really related. I think the world of you, Everett, is so good. And I can relate to that. Working for a family-owned business, most people know my story. Never had any intention of ever wanting to work at Meador Staffing and never wanted to live in Pasadena. So full circle, I now live in the house that I grew up in. Actually bought the house from my dad and have worked at Meador Staffing for 35 years. Never thought I would be like my grandparents. Who in the world works somewhere for that long? Like, can you not find another job? So, you really do have to step back and just, like I said, I just turned 61, so I've just been doing a lot of journaling and reflecting of, what will my life look like when I'm not here at Meador Staffing, and, what am I leaving behind? And for me, it's the word legacy. And really, that's my life purpose and mission is I will be and leave a legacy for my family, my community, and the company and organization that I work for. And I don't just work super hard just because, my last name used to be Meador. I am leaving something for a future generation. And that is really my driving motivation right now is, am I going to leave this place better or worse? And I want Meador Staffing to continue for generations to come. So really my purpose, what I have to remind myself each and every day is, what are you establishing, Melinda? What's the foundation that will launch the employees to do? And I tell them this all the time. I don't know if they're listening to me, but I tell them all the time, you will do great things here, and you will do greater things than I ever could even have dreamed or possibly imagined. So for me personally, right now, just because of where I'm at in my age and my career, I want Meador Staffing to be here for generations to come. And I want them to have every opportunity that I've had. And it goes back to what we're saying, connections and relationships. It's everything.
I love that. Thank you, Melinda. Great answer. You can clap it up. It's all right. It's all right. So Melinda actually just said something. This is not on the questions we discussed, but it's a follow-up. So you mentioned that you asked yourself, who works at a job that long? And recently I've heard a couple of hiring managers point out on resumes when they see people leaving jobs quickly, like a year or two. And back in the day, that was frowned upon. What are your thoughts if you are in a hiring position, or if you were to ever be in a hiring position and you see that on someone's resume? Do you see that as something negative or positive? What are your thoughts on that?
For me, I believe it all has something to do with age of work history. How long have you been working? So, I mean, if I'm in a managerial position and I'm hiring someone who has 3 years of work experience and has 5 jobs, that's going to be a little alarming to me. But if I'm in a managerial position hiring someone who's been in the workforce for 30 plus years and has hopped around from here to there, I see that he has valuable experience in different industries, and I feel that he or she could bring a very unique perspective and work ethic to the work environment. So I think it just all really depends on how long you've been working. But I also value seniority. That's just me personally. And yeah, so I think it's just age of work history.
I think you prefaced it on why they're leaving where they're going. I mean, if you're jumping jobs every 3 months because the manager's bad, and it's manager's bad, management, it says something about the employee, right, or whoever's trying to be hired. If they're moving around and I'm moving from job to job and I'm moving up in rank, or I'm moving up in position, or I'm learning different facets of the business, I think that's a plus. But if you're jumping jobs because it's just not your fit, that kind of throws up a red flag to me.
Yeah, so we're definitely looking at experience. For Kaneka, we're looking for a lot of technical staff, right? So a lot of engineers, and some of the engineers, they move a lot. And so what we try to do is in the interview process, really try to understand the why. Why are you moving? You're right, sometimes it's not a good fit, but 10 good fits, you're the common denominator, not the company. So it just depends on what it is and what the expertise we're looking for is, and then we make an evaluation based on that.
So good. It really is all about the why. And of course, we've experienced, all of you have probably heard, that we've been living through this great resignation. I mean, it was being in staffing, it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And it's interesting, I don't know if y'all have read recently, we're now moving into, the great resignation is still happening, but now we're moving into the great regret. The people that jumped shipped and moved for whatever reason, they thought they were going to have this incredible new career path or more money or, I just need a change. It's really interesting to read about this great regret that people thought, I thought the grass was going to be greener on the other side. But I believe this is like a twofold question, because I really have come to learn that I don't get too upset if somebody wants to leave. Like y'all said, if they are moving up, they're going to go and do this really cool job, career path at this new company. I'm the first one at Meador Staffing to literally pray for them on their last day at Meador Staffing, to bless them and, to move on. But I really think it does go back to the why, and I think the organization has to look at themselves as well. What are we doing truly to retain the individuals? But I think it really all goes back to the conflict question too. Why are you leaving? So like Everett said, it's really digging deep and finding out the why. Is it really because you were upset with somebody, and so your decision is going to be, well, I'm just going to leave and find another job? You're going to take whatever you're leaving into the next role that you're going in. That's what I always tell people too. If you do not take care of things, you think that things are going to be way better on the other side, you're taking yourself into that new place. So I always, tell myself, and employees that I work with, really do work on yourself. Make sure that you're in a good place, because it's not going to be any better. So, but that's just the world we live in right now. But I found it really interesting hearing, I just read that article a couple of weeks ago about the great regret.
For sure. And if your organization doesn't have an exit interview or exit survey process, I really encourage you to implement that, because you can learn a lot, whether they leave on good terms or not so great terms. I think just reviewing those and understanding, is this a individual thing, or is this something that we can, change in our company culture? So thank you guys for entertaining that random question. So next up, just looking at your career trajectory, because you guys, from the youngest to the most seasoned, you are all successful. And so how did you get to where you are today, and what resources did you implement along the way? And I'm just going to take it back over to our Rose.
The old one?
our boomer. Have you kick us off?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Like I said earlier, I've had an incredible career. I never would have even dreamed that my life would look like it does right now, from where I started when I was, in my 20s. But I really attribute so much to resources, to connections, and, my motto that I shared with our company during COVID was just do it afraid. And I really think that has kind of been my career path is, of course, being female, working for a family-owned company, having the last name Meador can be very intimidating, a lot of expectations put on you. And I just, decided I just have to be who I am. But really, I do attribute so much to my dad, who is just an incredible mentor. Darla Haygood, who worked for our company for 45 years, she, and I worked together so much. But connections and really doing it afraid. When opportunities were given to me, especially in the staffing industry, I think I was in my 30s when I was president of our organization, statewide, and I look back and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they were so stupid. Why did they ask me to do that? But just saying yes, knowing what to say yes to, and knowing that every time you said a yes, you would have to say no to something else. But it is connections, and I look at so many of you and your faces, and I'm just so incredibly blessed from the yeses that I gave. That wasn't about the work or the job. It's all about what we've been talking. It's relationships. Seriously, it is. I've just had so many incredible opportunities. So it's taking advantage of mentors being humble, and just in saying yes, and sometimes just doing things afraid, not having all the answers in front of you.
Good job, good job. So I go back as a start of the upbringing. I mentioned my dad. We moved from Virginia to Texas when I was very young. He found a way to buy a rent house. And so when you get a rent house and you're 6, 7 years old, you're the one doing the work or carrying the wood. And so he did that for many years. And so every 2 years we would move while he would buy another one and rent that one out. And so the renovation in the middle of summer, I'm the one on the roof putting on a new roof or commodes or sheetrock. And so when I got to my senior year, he was like, see, I showed you all this because I don't want you to have to do this. So now go to college and work hard, go get your degree so you have a choice if you want to do this, but not because you have to do it. So now I get into the work world, and so now when people complained about, okay, they got to be outside for a few hours, big deal. I mean, my motivation and my acceptance of what had to be done to get the job done was different than some. And so between the drive that he instilled and my mom's patience and grace because my father was a hard man, so she had to calm things down, was to realize that, even when you get in the work world, there's going to be some hard people. But you've grown up with hard people, but there's going to be some people that you have to extend grace to because they don't know what it's like to work like you're willing to work. And so for me, it was about finding that balance and finding mentors that would say, Everett, I know what you're used to, but you need to stop this one and go this way, or whatever that needed to be to get me to where I was appreciating the opportunities that were provided. When I was young, I had a fear of standing in front of people. Just standing in front of people was fearful. And it's one of those things when you pray to get over it, you keep getting put in situations like fashion show requests.
Are you in the fashion show?
No, I'm not. I haven't
he said he's going
accepted.
to check his calendar. Side note, sorry. That's a side conversation.
So I'm just saying, you never know what's going to be provided to you, the opportunities are going to be presented. And sometimes you do have to go into it, maybe with a little fear, but realizing, this opportunity was presented for a reason. What can I learn from it? How can I get better? How can I grow? And trust people with wisdom. My goodness, trust people with wisdom. They have it for a reason. Trust people with wisdom and listen to what they have to say, and you'll go a long way.
So when I was 17 years old, I'll date myself, I was given a Zig Ziglar cassette tape. Zig Ziglar. In fact, I'll say personal development was the thing that has moved me forward, and identifying it at 17 years old that, hey, you're not perfect. You have a lot of things that you need to grow and change inside yourself to become a leader and to become someone who can change the world, right? Because at 17 years old, we all think we're going to change the world, but we have none of the tools to do that. And to get someone to actually say, hey, you probably ought to listen to this. There's some good things in there. There's some things that, I look back and from 17 years old to now I'm 43, that one set of tapes has probably had the greatest impact on my life of any one moment that I probably can say, business-wise.
I think it's really interesting sitting where I'm sitting and being able to have this conversation with people who have accomplished so much in their lives. So just a quick round of applause for them. They have accomplished so much. They are great leaders. And it's awesome just to be able to sit here with people like this. There's so much for me personally that I still want to accomplish. There's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to be. But I just came to a realization that you can't really grow if you don't take the time to reflect on what you've been through. That has been the biggest thing for me. So even at my age, I'm reflecting constantly, daily, of how I could improve what I did right. There was a time where my parents would say they're proud of me. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But now when they say they're proud of me, there is a weight. It is heavy. It is heavy because I believe it in myself. I think the biggest thing for me is just being in a place where you could reflect on the things that you've been through and allowing that to be able to propel you forward to the next step. And just getting where I am here today, we touched up on it earlier, where being and surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you, stronger than you, better than you in all aspects. There is no room for growth when you're in an environment of people who are just like you or lower than you in certain aspects of their life. I strived ever since I was 13, 14, 15 to put myself in situations where I'm not the smartest. I had to put my pride to the side because that's something that I always struggled with as a kid. So I'm no longer the smartest in the room. I'm no longer the strongest. And what that enabled me to do is to become a stronger person, to become a smarter person. And I'm not the strongest person. I'm not the smartest person, but I'm stronger and smarter than I was when I first started. And I think it's so important and so valuable to surround yourself with people like this. You know, it's such an honor to be here. I thank my parents for raising me the way they did. I thank spiritual authorities in my life that have walked with me and have cried with me and who have been there for me. I thank my boss for pouring into me the way that he has for these past 2 years. And I would not be where I am today if I didn't allow myself to be in a place of submission to those people. I think that's the most important thing. I think that's the most valuable thing. And I think when we realize that, true growth and true blossoming happens then.
I know I see a lot of memes about the future of our generation, but I think our future's in good hands, don't you? Yeah, that's great. Great job, Anthony. I know we have time for a few more questions, but I am dying to know if you could share with us, what is something that was popular in high school for you? Whether it is a style, a song, anything, something that was popular for you in high school.
Man, well, just recently
He's like TikTok.
That too, that was pretty popular, but I mean, we just embarked on a global pandemic. So that was definitely something interesting that happened. Social distancing, Zoom meetings being popularized. Being in a graduating class of 1,000 seniors, social distance on a football field was pretty different. So that was very intriguing, and it's probably the biggest thing that's happened to me while I was in high school. So.
Yeah, so that's definitely a major event, but like in high school, because we will talk about major events as well.
Okay.
What is something that was like
Trendy, popular.
trendy? Yeah.
Oh yeah, well it was definitely TikTok. It was definitely
Told you.
It was definitely meme culture. Hydro Flask. I don't know if that's still a thing. Just things like that. Dance.
Everett, do you have questions?
I have questions, Olivia. I have questions. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really try to dive into that. I felt like it just wasn't the best use of my time. But I feel like
I see people in the audience Googling like, what is a hydro flask?
It was pretty cool though, seeing my friends doing what they're doing and just being them, and yeah, so TikTok for sure.
Josh, what was trendy in high school?
Grunge. Grunge was trendy in high school. For all the grunge scene was all kind of coming around when I was going into high school. I was real big into WCW wrestling.
Oh, WWE?
No, it was WCW before it was WWE. I did a lot of wrestling evenings in high school.
Awesome. Everett, what was trendy?
I'm going to go with arcades, like the old school arcades, where you have put your quarter on the machine to designate your space that you were coming up next.
You carried change?
Yeah, change. You had to put the quarter on the machine to say you're next.
So there's near my house in East Downtown, there's like a Cedarcade, which is an arcade, but you can literally swipe your card, which is not arcade.
That's not the same.
That's
not
okay.
the same. Quarters on the machine.
I thought I was cool like you. Okay. Melinda, what about you? What's trendy?
Well, nothing was trendy because y'all know we were the ones who had to walk 5 miles in the snow
Both
to
ways?
get to, you know.
Both ways.
So,
it's always both ways, uphill.
Shoes were trendy.
Just saying. But so what was trendy? I know this one kind of was like, what did we do? Okay, y'all have to remember, like we had no cell phones or technology. So I thought what we would do on the weekends is like you would get with your girlfriends, somebody would be the designated driver, and we would literally just drive around Pasadena, and you would try to find somebody where you could connect in parking lot. And of course, music, going to concerts was super big. So I think I probably had 50 ticket stubs from every type of like your favorite 70s and 80s bands. And then of course, when John Travolta's Staying Alive and the Bee Gees came out, that was like a super big thing. So that is really embarrassing.
No, not at all. Not at all. Show some love to the boomers. We love some John Travolta. Okay. So we're going to close out with this last question. I want you to fast forward a few years, and it's your retirement day. What age are you hoping to retire, and what accomplishments do you hope to be most proud of?
Well, I can't pull out my Roth contributions till I'm 59 and a half. So 59 and a half, hopefully.
I love all the boomers. Like,
Wow.
But yeah, if I'm in an environment where I find purpose in what I do, I don't think there is such a thing as retirement. If you genuinely love what you do, there should be no stop and end. That's what I feel. Accomplishment-wise, something that's really been on my heart is I want to dive into philanthropy. I want to. The biggest thing, which was Ms. Torrison spoke about earlier, was legacy. I was sharing with Mr. Everett and Josh earlier that I'm the first Herrera, I believe, to graduate high school. I hope to be the first Herrera to graduate college. Thank you. And Josh said something very interesting. He said, the level that we end is sort of the level where our kids begin. And I think that's important. So that makes me want to be the very best that I could be because, man, what can my kids become? What can they do for the world? So legacy is definitely something that I am hammering down. I believe it all starts and ends with me. I want my lineage and generation to be known as lovers, to be known as caretakers, as people who are after God's heart, as all of these people. So by me saying I want my generation to be this, that, and that forces me to become that very thing that I'm speaking about. So.
Well, I'll kind of go into that. If you're doing something you love, it's hard to retire, right? But I sure would like to be getting mailbox money and not have to get up and go to work every day. Ideally, that's what we're all trying to do is you don't really retire, you just keep having that paycheck come in. So that's the goal, right? Ultimately, we'd love to have a zillion restaurants all over the state of Texas and throughout the nation, but we'll see how that goes. We're still early stages in that. But like you said, it's all about legacy. It's about building up my children. My ceiling becomes my children's basement. That doesn't mean that they can't go below me, but ideally we're trying to build up our next generation. I look at my employees kind of the same way. As I don't want them to walk in at the same maturity level that they leave at, right? We want to build up maturity and responsibility inside of each one of our employees, and hopefully that's what I'm doing inside of me is I want to mature every single day. You talk to some people, that's probably, I got a long way to go, but we're getting there.
Yeah, that's a tough question. As long as, I guess, my mind is sharp, I want to keep contributing in some way. So maybe it's not 5 days a week, but it's a couple of days a week consulting or something. As long as I can give back and I have value to the organization, it makes me feel valuable contributing. I want to contribute in some way. And to your point, I have now 2 college students. I want them to see that hard work and be at my retirement and say that they were proud of their dad and how he impacted work and how he impacted his church and, of course, the family. I want them to have that proud piece for me is so important, right, where they saw their grandparents work hard, their mom and dad work hard, and then now they're at my retirement because they've worked hard with their family. For me, it is that legacy where we're impacting generations, which is why we're here, right? And so it's so funny, we're talking, you're so brilliant, by the way. I had a conversation with my daughter. She left back to school on Sunday, and I was telling the team up here that she had her credit card stolen, the number stolen. And so I had to talk her through, we had to give her cash so she could drive back to school, had to talk her through paying inside a gas station. And you don't think about how the world has changed so rapidly that she's never had to walk in and talk to a cashier and give them cash and say 20 on pump, 10. And so she was like, are they going to give me change? Is the pump going to stop? Right. I mean, these are questions. And so when you look at the generations here, it's that we don't even know what's coming yet, but we have to be prepared and willing to grow and make sure that we bring along the next generation and that our kids are at that basement ready to thrive and not just, they won't flounder in the world if we're willing to make that commitment. Do I know? They know how to pump gas. They know how to...
To be fair, if the pump is broken, I will drive to another gas station. Not because I don't know how, but I'm just like, I'm not going in. Okay.
things
Thank
we
you.
take for granted, right?
Awesome,
So,
thank
yeah.
you. All right, and we'll close out.
Okay. Well, I would already be retired if I went with your age. So this is a question I get asked a lot. So Melinda, when are you retiring? And of course, you know, all of you who know my dad, Ben Meador, it's like, literally, it's what your parents said. My dad is like, retirement is not a word in the Bible. God did not say that we retire. So, and I do, now I have revelation of, I might not be in the same role. I'm not. I've already told Mr. Meador, I'm not going to be 83 and still coming into the office every day and doing this thing. But I do agree with the concept of we never fully retire until, you know, we leave this earth and you know, go to be with Jesus, that we're called here for a purpose. But I've been, you know, Rick knows, I've been, you know, thinking about this and just, I don't want to be one of those individuals, like I said, that just wakes up and, oh, I think I'm going to retire today. There's a lot of preparation that has to go into it. And so I really have started, for me personally, journaling and having a coach to coach me through this, because for me personally, it will be a grieving process. I know a lot of people who retire said, oh my God, it's the best day of my life, you're never gonna miss the place. But I would be ignorant to think that I'm not going to miss the place of Meador staffing and not doing what I'm doing day in and day out. So I've really started preparing myself personally for, you know, what does God have in store for me, not just because it does get exhausting. I've been through a lot of crisis situations at Meador, dealing, you know, with operations, being the one ultimately responsible day in and day out. It is taxing, it's exhausting, but it is so incredibly rewarding. So for me to, wow, it makes you want to tear up thinking about it. The day that I walk out of the office and I get in my car, it's like the scripture says, I really hope that the Lord and the Holy Spirit are there and just say, Melinda, well done, good and faithful servant.
That is so beautiful. What a great way to close out. Can you guys help me give it up for our amazing panel? And I really do hope that you guys get to see that generations are actually more similar than they are different. So thank you, panelists. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Aaron with the chamber.
Thank you, Fred. Give it up for Fred Floyd. He was coming to be a gentleman and move the podium for me. Would y'all be brave enough if I let the audience ask a couple burning questions that maybe, does anybody have any burning questions that they didn't hear today that they want to know? You can address it to one generation or all of them. I'll open it up if you want to. I got one. Oh, I knew you would, Danny. One thing you value the most out of each workday.
For me, it's just getting to see my coworkers. Being able to continue to develop and grow those relationships, because I know that will help create and cultivate a better work environment, create better relationships, and help productivity and work go smooth, and it just helps having a good time at work. So just developing and cultivating those relationships.
I really enjoy the morning greet. That's probably my favorite part, is I like saying hello to everybody before the pressure's on, before we really have to get going. That's when you really get the most relational type of interaction.
Yeah, so, hello? Sorry about that, came in hot.
Yeah, you turned it up back there.
So for me, it's about removing roadblocks, letting people get things done. So where I said, if I can remove a roadblock for somebody, that's a great day.
I'd probably say, of course, I love relationships. So I love, Taylor, I'm looking at you. It's like, okay, Taylor, how many submitters do you have? How many people we interview? How was the rodeo? How was whoever you saw at the rodeo the other night? But ultimately, it's kind of like with Everett. It's solving problems. We were on a team meeting yesterday, and it was like, okay, let's talk through what are we doing. It's being creative. It is encountering challenges, not accepting them as an excuse, but really ultimately working with a team, not individually, but to solve problems and to make us better, to always be moving us one step ahead.
Awesome. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I would say, obviously, all of you are leaders in your role. You have people that position-wise are under you that report to you. So what about you leading someone that's in a generation above you, someone gets older than you? Right?
How would you feel about leading a generation who is above you?
So I too am a millennial, but more on the younger side. Sorry, Joshua. No, because he's saying some things I'm like, I don't remember that about being a millennial. But so I'm the CEO at our organization, and we have an 83-year-old all the way down to 20. And so leading, or I remember when I first became a director, I had to address, what would you call it? Arriving on time to work with someone who was older than me. And I remember thinking, we're all adults. I don't want to have a conversation and tell someone that they've been coming into work late. But you know what? As they've all been saying, it's about relationship and communication, and sometimes the best way to communicate is just being straightforward, going in and addressing the problem and not the person, just saying, hey, we really need you to be here at 9 o'clock. When you're not here, this is how it affects the organization, this is how it affects the clients that we work with, so what can I do to help you make sure that you can get to work on time? Do we need to change your schedule? So it is very awkward leading people or giving direction to people who are older than you, especially if they're old enough to be your parent. But it's just something that you have to do, and it's just about building that relationship. And a mentorship is huge. Melinda is literally my mentor, in real life. And so asking those questions, because I know that I came in taking over my organization from someone who had been in that role for 30 years, right? And similar to her. And so I would say, when it's my time to do this, how do you navigate that? And so centering and putting yourself around people who've already experienced that is probably the most beneficial. But sometimes you just got to say it how it is. And like she said earlier, you're not always right, no matter how old you are. The boomers are not always right, but neither are the millennials.
Most of the time, though.
Yeah,
Y'all cut me off.
I think you said it perfectly. There's not much more I could add to it, but I will hammer down again that although I may not be over anyone, I basically tell my dispatchers what I need done. And what makes it easier for me to do that is if I have the relationship beforehand. It makes things so much easier and so much smoother. I'm not coming at you with any type of hostility. I'm like, hey, we're best friends, BFFs. I need you to do this for me. And they get it done. So, simple.
I think it's respect. I think is you have to show respect both ways. If you want to be respected, right, as a boss or as a leader, you have to show respect to every level of your organization, from whoever's delivering things that don't even really work for you. And if you're showing that respect at every single level, you can almost, I don't want to say demand respect, but you should be able to expect to be respected when you address the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's about respect. I'll say, watch your tone, right? Watch your delivery. That's all part of that respect, right? So you can respect the person, but not necessarily deliver feedback or correction as, I'm going to say, respectfully as you could if you're not monitoring your tone, your facial expressions, all those things that come with whatever you have to address.
Hands down, respect. And, not only did I have to work with individuals who were older than me, they had been at Meador Staffing longer than me. And so it was just a true honor and respect. I'll never forget this one experience that I had. I remember one, it was a Meador Staffing employee, and we were in my office, and I remember her looking at me, and she said, literally, if you ever become president of this organization, I am out of here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And today, it's somebody that I have really an incredible relationship with. And I think it was not just out of respect and honor for everything that those employees have done and how they have set the path for me and our family and employees, but it's through actions. And so it's not just me saying words, it was days, months of just my actions really speaking to my heart and just doing it day in and day out. And then that in turn, I think earned both of us having respect for one another and being able to collaborate and being able to work together. But yeah, it wasn't all pretty rainbows, butterflies, and sunshine. It took a lot of hard work and a lot of humility and introspective on my part to really take a look at myself. So, but actions and respect.
Incredible. I have a question. Anthony, can I set up a play date between you and my 21-year-old son? You are inspiring and amazing in every way. I'm blown away by you, and seriously, mentor my son. We'll talk later. Just kidding, Tyler. I love you. You guys were amazing today. Thank you so, so much. As you exit, yes, clap. I want to introduce you all, in case you haven't met, to the members of our amazing chamber team. You got to see me, I'm loud. Now, I want you to meet Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. Alyssa handles all our events and programs, and she is amazing. Then we have Christian in the back. Hi, Christian. Christian is over our membership, so if you are thinking about becoming a member, she is your girl. And she is going to tell you all the ways, and she is going to take great care of you. Kendra is on vacation. She's amazing. She does so many things for us. Hope you're having fun in Arkansas, Kendra. Hi. Bye, Kendra. Last but not least, we have Christina, our president and CEO, in the back. So this is our team that makes up the Chamber of Commerce, and you guys are all our family, and we are here for you, and we love each and every one of you, and we love each and every one of you, and thank you so much for being here. As you guys exit the stage, Alyssa has a gift for you from the Pasadena EDC, the Economic Development Corporation. It is a bag full of really cool swag. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I know we're a little over time. I'm gonna go over a few upcoming events, and then we're gonna draw for that cool Chick-fil-A basket. Don't forget to stop at the Chamber Connection Zone on the way out to talk about membership, get your raffle tickets, and get some flyers for these events I'm about to talk about. So April 4th, meet the candidates. How many of you work in Pasadena? Excellent. How many of you live in Pasadena? Very excellent. So come this day. It's actually going to be right here at CT Church. You're going to meet all the candidates running for Pasadena City Council, San Jacinto College Board of Trustees, and Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees. You're going to get to meet with them, talk with them, ask them questions, all that fun stuff. So that's April 4th, 5:30, right here at CT. April 20th, we invite you to our membership luncheon. You don't have to be a member to come. We're going to celebrate the Bridge Over Troubled Waters receiving their Nonprofit of the Year award. We're going to have a nonprofit expo around the room so you can meet and visit with all of our nonprofit organizations. And we're going to hear an incredible story of survival from this young lady, New, who endured quite a horrible life, but she overcame that adversity, and she's going to tell you that story and tell you where she's at now. I cannot wait for this one. That's on April 20th. April 26th, we're going to have our next job fair across the street at the Pasadena Convention Center. If you want a booth to come set up and meet candidates, it's free. You don't have to be a member to participate. You just have to let us know you want a booth. We'll set you up with the table, and you can meet all the candidates that come through. And then lastly is our golf tournament on May 8th. This is the one where we get to celebrate our Industry of the Year, Mr. Everett. Everett's going to be playing golf too, right? Yes. And so come out. You can get a team. You can volunteer. You can have a tent on the hole and kind of talk about your business. There's lots of ways you can get involved if you've never even swung a golf club. I just panicked so bad because I couldn't think of the word. We do want to thank Ryan Taylor of TNT Construction and Terry Kinney of Turner Industries for co-chairing that event. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Alyssa, come join me. Let's draw the winner. Thank you again to CT Church for allowing us to use your facilities. Nick, thank you. Thank you to Melinda and your team at Chick-fil-A. Did everybody enjoy breakfast? The Pasadena EDC, Pasadena Loves Local, and Qualified Properties. Thank you all so much. Okay, let's get a winner. I'm not looking, I'm not cheating. Let's give it to Elizabeth Brannon from Brannon Designs.